Dale. I'm here to do the review of Wind River, a movie written and directed by Taylor Sheridan. I've been trying to see this movie for a while. It was only out limited release at first, then it went a little wider as time went on, and I finally got to see it at the theaters, and I'm glad I did. I'm late with this review, later than I would like to be, but here it is, and it's a pretty good movie, like I figured. If you're not familiar with Taylor Sheridan, he wrote Sicario, which came out in 2015, which was a very good movie, and he wrote Hell or High Water, which came out last year in 2016. Hell or High Water is probably my favorite movie of last year, outside of Deadpool and Captain America Civil War. Hell or High Water was my favorite movie of 2016, so I really love his writing. But this is the first movie I believe he directed, and it's not as good as Sicario and Hell or High Water, but it's pretty good. And it stars Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen, Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch. Some people out there watching this might get that reference. The movie is about this murder that happens on this Indian reservation. Jeremy Renner's character, he finds the dead body, and I believe it's in Wyoming, and it's a murder mystery. It's based on true events. And Elizabeth Olsen character, she's an FBI agent, but she doesn't have a lot of experience. And the only reason she's called to that particular murder scene is because she's the closest FBI agent there, because it's in a remote area. It's cold, real cold, and there's a lot of snow. So they send her off to these conditions, and she's kind of green, and you could tell that the people involved really don't know if she's capable of getting the job done at first. And being that she doesn't really know what she's doing, she has Jeremy Renner's character, who is he's in wildlife services, he's a tracker. He knows the area real well. When people having problems with some of the wildlife, destroying their farm life or their cattle, they call him, to track them down and take care of the problem. So he stumbles upon this dead girl while he's doing some tracking, and that's when the murder mystery pursues. And it's not an action movie, it's a drama. So it has slow moments, but they're very good moments. It gets violent, but it only gets real violent. The violent scenes don't really come until the middle, towards the end. And I really like this movie. My wife liked it even more than I did, which was a surprise. She really dug it, and I give this a strong B+. I was leaning more towards A-, but I give this a B+. It's worth seeing. This guy's one of my favorite writers right now, and I hope he continues to direct too, because he did a good job. I like how he did with the landscape and how you feel like you're in the environment. You feel the elements when you watch in the theater, because it looks cold out there and you got snow. It's so much snow that they can't even get to certain places unless they on these snowmobiles. So that's how much snow when you're dealing in the woods, in the forest, and you're dealing with the wildlife. So I highly recommend Wind River. I also want to do a Netflix recommendation for The Confession Tapes. It's a true crime document series, 7 episodes in all. And horror movies don't scare me, but documentaries scare the hell out. They really give you a messed up view of the world. They go underneath the surface and expose all the corruption. It gives you a real cynical view of society, and it makes you have no faith in humanity at all. And this documentary series is just another example of that. It's about people confessing the crimes that they didn't commit. And you would think if you didn't do the crime, you would never confess to it. But this documentary series shows you otherwise. You got young and old getting broke down and confessing the crimes they didn't do. Once the detectives get fixated on a particular person that they think committed the crime and they don't look outside of that, they get you in this room and you can be in there for 10 hours or more, and they would just wear on you and wear you down until you confess to the crime. And there's a few episodes where you're not even sure if the person did it or not. It could go either way. It's 50-50. But even in those cases, the police don't have enough physical evidence to convict. And there are no reenactments like something on the ID channel where you got people reenacting the crime with bad acting. This is all done through actual footage, interviews, news reports, etc., etc. I highly recommend it. It's depressing. And I'm thinking to myself while I'm watching it, that could happen to me. I mean, no one exempt from that. It doesn't matter what color you are, because they got white folks in there confessing the crimes they didn't do too, and it doesn't always end well. It's not a happy situation anyway, even if you do 1 year of prison time. But it's not always the case where they do 10 or 15 years and they get out and they get cleared of the crime. Some of these cases are still ongoing. And some of these people look like they never gonna get out. They even got an episode close to home. I live in the Washington, D.C. area, and they got an episode about a crime that was committed on 8th and H. So I highly recommend it. I give it a strong B+, and there you have it.